Bringing in Pete Paschal, the editorial director of Reviews.com, and Thomas Donohoe, CEO of Level Agency. Great to see you both. Thomas, let's start off with you. I mean, last round, Twitter beat the street. What are you thinking for tomorrow morning?
Sure, I think the target should be mid-teens, less nice than Q4 last year, probably better than Q3, but I think that misses the point in terms of what to expect in 2019 and 2020 for this company.
So are you optimistic on the company or not so much?
In my humble opinion, look, if you understand the revenue models of Twitter versus Facebook and Instagram and Google and even LinkedIn, you understand that Twitter still has not found their footing in terms of the men and women that are spending money on these advertising platforms to make their clients money. People that understand where to place money, they have to make a profit for their clients. And as of today, Twitter still has not gotten their act together from a digital advertising standpoint.
Pete, what are your thoughts on Twitter?
Well, that may be true in terms of like what the audience Twitter is going for in terms of its revenue products, but Twitter does have some good stories to tell. I think they've gotten in recent months and years much better at defining the metrics that are indicative of their success. So what do I mean by that? Well, for a long time with Twitter, I'm old enough to remember when we were so obsessed with monthly active users. They had to scale. They were chasing Facebook. That has not been the narrative for a while, and now they have recently started talking more and more about daily active users, and as you said at the top, they're going to go even further, maybe monetizable daily active users, and that is a much better measure as far as how engaged the users are, how good the product is. And that has been going up and up, even though monthly users have been going down, that's actually good news too, because it shows they're being serious about getting rid of bots, inauthentic content, harassers. So it's good that these sort of people who aren't really engaging on the platform are going away, and the people who really use it are on the increase.
So it's a focus on quality as opposed to quantity.
Yes.
Thomas, what do you think about that idea? They're really looking for quality users, monetizable users, rather than bots and garbage and things that just show numbers but really are ultimately useless. Is this good? Are people going to like this in the stock market?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll keep it short and midterm versus long term. In the short to midterm, let's say 2019, I believe shareholders, investors should like the direction they're going from a transparency standpoint and what really are important numbers to look at. But again, I would really question anything in terms of this earnings report speaking to the long-term health of their revenue model. So in the short term, it is always good the company is getting more efficient, learning how to run their operations better, and being more honest with their user base and their monetization efforts. But again, the difference between being able to monetize this many people and in 2 years or in 12 months, the companies that are really spending the money, they have to see a return on their investment. And there's a difference between monetizing users and those users turning into clients and customers. And I think that's still a conversation that's yet to be had.
Right. How do you compare, Pete, the different users of the different platforms? So people used to say that Twitter was basically for high-profile public figures, journalists, the president, and everything was everything else. Right? I mean, do they have the growth potential?
Yeah, I think there's still some growth potential, and I think there's always going to be some growth in their existing potential, which is kind of what we're talking about. Like the newsmakers, 100%. Like if you have news to break, you're going to Twitter first. Great recent example. Joe Biden, when he needed to respond to all his political issues with his, personal touch, shall we say, the first place he went to was Twitter for his video. He also put it on Instagram, but I mean, he got the engagement on Twitter. It says a lot that he wanted to break the news there. So in terms of the long-term picture of that platform, I think there's always going to be a need for that. Jack Dorsey has come out and said that he does sort of envision Twitter getting more decentralized, both in terms of how it operates, so it's not just run from San Francisco, but also with its audience. So you're probably going to see more splintering of, you hear about things like there's political Twitter, there's various TV show Twitter or entertainment Twitter, and these kind of their own little islands within Twitter that sort of interact. We're probably going to see more balkanization, more splintering of that is part of the fundamental aspects of the platform going forward.
Tom, what do you think is the best bet that's going to see the growth that we're going to see as the behemoth in 5 or 10 years?
Well, let me just say that 300 million plus or minus users is still it's a huge critical mass. So if they can find a way to better monetize and make that site more sticky, I mean, that's a huge win. The behemoth, it is going to be the platforms that are able to drive revenue for the end clients. So if they can not just take their user base and put the right offer in front of the right person at the right time, but convince and show advertisers, the people that are 80-90% of these companies' revenues, if they can show and prove that their users will turn into customers and be very transparent and provide an advertising platform that's fairly straightforward to use and has good pricing, that's going to be the behemoth in 3 to 5 years. And that's why Facebook is Facebook at this point. That's why they've got a $500 billion market cap.
All right. Thank you both. Pete Patchell, editorial director, reviews.com, and Thomas Donohoe, CEO of Level Agency. Thank you both for being here and breaking down these Twitter numbers ahead of tomorrow's report.